Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's event. Before we begin, we would like to remind everyone to please kindly silence your phones to ensure a smooth event. Toilets are located outside to your right. We will begin momentarily. Once again, we would like to remind everyone to please kindly silence your mobile phones to ensure a smooth event. And if you need the toilets, they are located outside to the right-hand side. We also invite everyone who is still outside of the conference room to please enter and take your seats as the event will begin shortly. Thank you. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Before we begin today's program, we would like to remind everyone to kindly silence your mobile phones to ensure a smooth event. And if you need the toilets, they are located outside to your right-hand side, and we will begin momentarily. We also invite everyone who is still outside the conference room to please enter and take their seats as the event will begin shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite everyone to please stand and welcome His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul, Federal Foreign Minister of Germany. Please give a round of applause. Welcome, Foreign Minister. We also would like to welcome His Excellency Arif Hafaz Oigroseno, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia. Mr. Thomas Graf, Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany. And Ambassador Sumadi Brotodiningrat, Senior Fellow of Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia. In attendance, we also welcome the esteemed ambassadors from Jordan, Uzbekistan, Timor-Leste, Switzerland, Poland, European Union, Greece, Czech Republic, Slovak Republic, Croatia, and Kuwait. Good afternoon, ambassadors. We also welcome the distinguished members of the high-ranking delegation from Germany. And last but not least, a warm welcome to all of the participants, diplomatic corps, fellows, colleagues, students from different universities, and everyone here today. Excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, guten Tag, good afternoon, and welcome. My name is Cindy, and I will be the Master of Ceremony for today's event. I hope everybody is doing well and staying in high spirits. Welcome to today's special event in conversation with His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul, Germany's foreign policy outlook on the Indo-Pacific, positioning Germany and Indonesia in a changing world order. Ladies and gentlemen, Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia and the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany are pleased to have His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul, Federal Foreign Minister of Germany, with us today in his first Asia-Pacific public address to share his views on Germany's foreign policy outlook on the Indo-Pacific and how Indonesia fits in this picture. Before we begin, please enjoy the following video profile of Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia.
Terdiam ku melihat sadarku bertahun bersama terwujudlah terbayang yang terindah yang terhampar berlalulah sadarku semuanya perasaan rasa cinta kaulah yang diinginkan aku dari mimpiku coba terbangkan hayalku dari sadarku.
Ladies and gentlemen, to start our dialogue today, we invite the co-host of today's event, Senior Fellow of Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia, Ambassador Sumadi Brotodiningrat. You may have the floor.
Excellency, Minister, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege for me, on behalf of FPCI, to extend a warm welcome to our eminent guest, His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul, Federal Foreign Minister of the Federal Republic of Germany. We consider this event a culmination of close cooperations that we, FPCI, have developed over the years with our German partners, including, in particular, the German Embassy in Jakarta. As a large, youthful, and open-mindedly independent foreign policy community, FPCI does offer forums for international affairs aimed at developing better understanding and closer relations among nations with various segments of their peoples. And today, indeed, is a good example of that. With more than 200 participants invited, excellent moderators and panelists, we are also fortunate to have with us the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia, His Excellency Vasugro Seno, who until very recently served as Indonesia's ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany. We can thus look forward to an interestingly authentic discussion on Germany's foreign policy outlook and on the Indo-Pacific, positioning Germany and Indonesia in a changing world. More than that, I'm also optimistic that from this discussion will emerge ideas and thinking that will help us in Indonesia and Germany to face the current challenges of change and to withstand the test of our time. Time is too short to be wasted by me. That's why I just stop here and give back the floor to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Sumadi, for your remarks. It is now our great honor to invite the Federal Foreign Minister of Germany, His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul, to deliver our keynote speech today. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me and my delegation. I'm accompanied by two colleagues of the German Bundestag, Ms. Siemtje Möller. She's deputy chairwoman of the Social Democratic Party. So Siemtje, also welcome to you. And Jürgen Hart, spokesperson of the Christian Democratic faction in the German Bundestag for foreign policy. So, dear Ambassador, dear Deputy Foreign Minister, Professors, Excellencies, members of foreign policy think tanks and universities, students, commilitones, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having us. This is my, and I would assume our first trip to Asia and the new tenure of the German Bundestag, and for me as German foreign minister. And it was very important for me to visit Indonesia on this trip, because Indonesia is a partner that Germany and Europe need more than ever these days in a world of great challenges. Your country, the country with the largest Muslim population in the world, is a vibrant democracy with just celebrated 80 years of independence. Our congratulations once again. It's a modern nation which combines a long history and rich cultural heritage with high tech and openness. The video showed it just in a very cool manner once again. And your new and beautiful embassy in Berlin and the amazing Indonesian pavilion at the World Expo in Osaka, we just visited yesterday, are visible examples of this. Indonesia is a dynamic economy and an engaged political player, both in its own region and increasingly on the world political stage. A country that considers 1,000 friends too few and a single enemy too many. I have already had the honor to meet the Foreign Minister Sugiono today to discuss the global situation in our bilateral relationship, but above all, talk about how we want to deepen our partnership, because that's what I'm here for, to strengthen and to expand our bonds. We, Indonesians and Germans, have a common goal: to achieve freedom, security, and prosperity through partnership with others. We are meeting at a time when Europeans and Asians are facing a multitude of new challenges together, from the eroding respect of international law to the imperialist rhetoric and actions of certain powers, from military conflicts that are shutting down trade routes to state-sponsored disinformation campaigns, from the risk stemming from technological innovation to the ever more dangerous effects of climate change. I am convinced our joint answer to this must be an unwavering commitment to investing in our partnerships, because we are only strong, we are only able to move forward if we stand together. Ladies and gentlemen, Germany and Indonesia, as well as the European Union and most of our partners across the Indo-Pacific, share similar challenges. But we also share many core values and objectives. The commitment to upholding respect for international law, the commitment to free and rules-based trade, the commitment to peace, stability, and territorial integrity, the conviction that growth and prosperity can be achieved by cooperation. This is the basis for our partnership across the region. Inspired by the Asian outlook on the Indo-Pacific, Germany and the EU are dedicated to foster reliable and mutual beneficial partnerships with the Indo-Pacific. This is why Germany is strongly committed to the EU's Global Gateway Program. Throughout the Indo-Pacific, the EU is investing in digital and infrastructure, electricity grids, ports, power plants, and schools. Germany is proud to be the lead country in jointly upgrading Indonesia's rail connectivity in the framework of the Surabaya regional railway line. And it's also why Germany is assuming greater international responsibility in security and defense policy, why we are helping to strengthen the resilience of our partners. Examples include a German project to provide the Philippines and Malaysia with unarmed surveillance drones to increase capabilities and resilience on maritime security. But it's also why we are engaged in the Just Energy Transition Partnership with Indonesia together. We are turning our shared commitment to decarbonization into tangible progress, because global challenges need collective action and reliable partnerships. My hometown, Kiel, is situated over 11,000 kilometers from Jakarta. And still, what happens here in the Indo-Pacific has a direct impact on European security and vice versa. China's growing military assertiveness in the South China Sea not only threatens Asia's security, but also undermines the international rules-based order. And with essential trade routes running right through this area, it also constitutes an economic risk. The same goes for the Taiwan Strait. Any escalation would have serious consequences for global security and prosperity and directly affect German and European interests too. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine is not only an attack on the European peace order, it also affects Indo-Pacific security, because the Russian war machine runs in part of North Korea troops and ammunition, as well as on China's decisive economic support. All of which serves to show that European and Indo-Pacific security are closely interlinked. Germany and Indonesia believe that international law, freedom of navigation, and sovereignty matter. This is why we have expanded our strategic engagement in the Indo-Pacific. Since 2021, our armed forces have been conducting regular Indo-Pacific deployments with the goal of strengthening our defense ties and interoperability. Our engagement ranges from the multinational exercise Talisman Sabre in Australia to freedom of navigation missions in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea. And this is why, in 2022, Indonesia was instrumental in broadening our understanding of security during its G20 presidency. Beyond military dimensions, Indonesia underlined the vulnerability of our ecosystems as a security threat. There can be no security and there can be no prosperity where islands are sinking into the sea, where climate change is ravaging our planet. Much like there can be no security where there are scarcities of food and energy. Ladies and gentlemen, our stance on international law is principled, and that means we will raise issues of concern also with our allies and closest friends. That means our country's commitment, the Germans' commitment to Israel's right to exist and to its security remains unwavering. But at the same time, Germany rejects any plans of annexation by the Israeli government, as well as the announcement of further expand illegal settlements in the West Bank. And we are deeply concerned about the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza. Ladies and gentlemen, as Europe and the Indo-Pacific, our security is as intertwined as our prosperity. Let me give you two examples. When Russia blocked Ukrainian Black Sea ports and deprived the world of Ukrainian grain, this also resulted in food shortages in the Indo-Pacific region. And when the pandemic brought assembly lines to standstill all over the world, we realized that interrupted supply chains in the Southeast Asia can lead to shortages in semiconductors in Europe. Europe and the countries of the Indo-Pacific are both strong supporters of fair international free trade. But today, global trade is often politicized and weaponized, something we in Germany learned the hard way when in 2022, Russia tried to turn our dependence on its energy supplies into a geopolitical weapon. This is why for us, as is the case for many other countries, it is vital today to identify critical economic dependencies to strategically minimize existing risks and to diversify our trade relationships. This is why we are committed to also deepening our economic partnership. As I speak, the European Union is ambitiously negotiating free trade agreements, the majority of which are with countries in the Indo-Pacific. The political agreement to finalize negotiations between the EU and Indonesia was a milestone, speeding up consensus on remaining questions. We fully support the Commission's plan to sign this important agreement as early as next month. With a fair, ambitious, and sustainable trade agreement, we will create highly needed business opportunities for both sides and diversify our supply chains from renewable energies to digital innovation. And we will signal our full commitment to fair, rule-based trade in times of global economic uncertainty. Together, the EU and ASEAN represent two of the largest trading blocs in the world. I am looking forward to meeting Dr. Kao Kim Hoon, the Secretary General of ASEAN, tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, this year we are celebrating the 70th anniversary of the Bandung Conference. In 1955, the Cold War was accelerating. The colonial empires were breaking up, and the new nations which had regained their freedom were seeking their role in a bipolar world. Indonesia gave them a voice and a choice by organizing the conference. Since then, the world has changed considerably, and not always for the better. The world is becoming more multipolar, more fragmented, and less predictable. Long-held certainties are eroding. I am convinced that in this new global picture, reliable partnerships are not just desirable, they are essential. Essential to maintaining and achieving freedom, security, and prosperity for our countries, in our regions, for our people. Essential to strengthening global cooperation within the framework of established rules. Essential to upholding our sovereignty and our ability to act independently. In this new global picture, Germany needs partners like Indonesia. Looking ahead, I'm pleased that the next European Union Indo-Pacific Foreign Ministers meeting will take place this November. This time, European and Asian countries will come together in Brussels to discuss the new global landscape. Our goal will be to listen to each other, to understand our respective visions, and to find common ground for our partnership. This is the essence of diplomacy. This is the path for freedom, security, and prosperity. Germany and the European Union are keen to further expand and to intensify our cooperation. Let's face these challenging times together as friends and reliable partners who understand and value each other. In today's world, sadly, it might not be possible to only have friends. But my message to our Indonesian friends and partners is, you certainly have a close friend in Germany. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Wadephul. We invite you to please take center stage for a brief photo session, and we kindly invite Ambassador Sumadi to join His Excellency for the handover of the token of appreciation and a photo session. To the photographers, please stand by. Yes, we invite you to please take center stage for a token of appreciation. Yes. All right. And we'll take the photo. Are the photographers stand by? All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. A round of applause, everybody. Right. Ambassador Sumadi, you may return to your seat, and Minister Wadephul, you may take your seat on stage. Yes. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to our panel discussion on Germany's foreign policy outlook on the Indo-Pacific, positioning Germany and Indonesia in a changing world order. Along with Minister Wadephul, we are joined by a distinguished panel here today who I would also like to invite up on stage, His Excellency Arif Hafaz Oegroseno, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia. Dr. Sofwan Albana, FPCI Fellow and Associate Professor at Universitas Indonesia. And our moderator, Professor Poppy Sulistianing Winanti, Professor of International Relations at Universitas Gadjah Mada. Please join His Excellency and take your seat on stage to begin the discussion. I now hand the floor to our moderator, Professor Poppy.
Thank you, Cindy. Excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Jakarta. Thank you for joining us today. It is an honor for me to facilitate the discussion with prominent speakers. Today's event is to honor His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul's official visit to Indonesia. And as you mentioned earlier during your speech, that Indonesia is the first ASEAN member states that you visited. That shows that how important Indonesia for Germany. Today's topic is also very important and very timely, as we know that the Indo-Pacific has become increasingly important in the contemporary world politics. As you know that it is home for significant economic and political forces across the Indian and also Pacific Oceans. As you had a keynote speech earlier, the minister, we also understand that German government determined to engage as an active player and also partner with the region. I would like to begin our discussion by inviting the minister to elaborate further. You mentioned that Germany's view and strategy on Indo-Pacific has core and also principles kind of values. However, as we know that the current issues, we also facing very delicate issues and challenging issues regarding the assertiveness of China in the region. And how do you see that this kind of views and also principles, values in strengthening the collaboration with the region from the Germany's perspective in regard or amid the current challenges? Would you like to please share your views on that?
Yeah, thank you so much. Just reiterating what I said in my speech is that I think our two regions are really more intertwined than we have in mind day by day. So what's happening here has an impact on security, not only in the first sense of that word, but also an economic security at once in Europe and vice versa. And so we have to learn that we have really to closely work together and to defend our order, our values more closer and more effectively than we did in the past, because the necessity is higher, the threats are higher than they were before, and it's, I would say, easy to make, because we share interests, we share values, we are defending the international rules-based order. We know that our prosperity is dependent on this system, but we have to stand up for that, and we have to stand together for that. And if we do so, we will have success. I have really no doubt. The Indo-Pacific is, for me, looking from the European perspective, the most interesting region of the world, because we have young states, well-educated, with a lot of stable state systems here, and for that very reason, and they are rising, of course, with all the difference between the countries and the states and their systems. We know all this, but for Europe, this is really the region we should focus our interest, because the potential for the future, not only in economic means, but also politically, the potential is the hugest one on the world. So let's do it together. And this is the very purpose and the very idea of this trip we are making here to Indonesia.
Thank you, Minister. I would like to also ask Bapak Hafaz's view. We listened to Minister's view on the German's views on the Indo-Pacific strategy. In your opinion, how this strategy in line with the ASEAN own kind of outlook on the Indo-Pacific? How do you see that? Is there any complementary, or is there any issues on that? Please share your view, Pak Hafaz.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all extend my thanks to Minister for coming to Indonesia. It's really a great honor for us to have you here. And especially, as I mentioned to you, Minister, I was ambassador to Berlin for 7 years. Yeah. So I keep missing Berlin and Germany, so I'm not objective here. I'm an ambassador. After 5 years, you start to represent your host country, not representing your own country. So I want to start with something that is obvious, but not many people see it. Geographically, Germany has border with 9 countries, Minister. Yeah, you have France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Denmark, Poland, Czech, Austria, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. Nice. We have 10. We have 10 neighbors. India, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, the Philippines, Palau, PNG, Australia, and Timor-Leste. We are both in a central locations. Those who wants to go to the Netherlands from eastern of Europe, like in Poland and Czech, they have to go to Germany. Those who want to sail from the Pacific going to Singapore or Malaysia or Middle East, they have to go to Indonesia. Those who want to travel or fly from Perth to Tokyo have to fly over Indonesia. Similarly. So we are sort of what they call the prisoner of geography. So we both are in a central position, geographically speaking, in our own regions. And we are the largest in terms of GDP in our own region. We are the largest in terms of population in our regions. So not only that we share values, democracy, but we also share this kind of very unique thing that is embedded in our DNA. So I think this is a very strong basis for Indonesia to work with Germany, to understand where you come from, for you to understand where we come from. And this indeed is a central issue. Now, I was in Berlin when Germany launched the your policy on Indo-Pacific, and I think almost at the same time when we in ASEAN also introduced the same thing. Actually, we have done some comparisons internally, how we see each other. I would say that it's not only complementarity, but also you can draw a lot of sources of finance, of expertise, of friendships from the German Indo-Pacific model that I think also complement what we are doing in here in Southeast Asia and ASEAN vis-a-vis our regions. The other element I want to share is the core value on international law, that we both shares the importance of the international law-based order, which I think is very important. But the challenge, Minister, is that we now see that international law even are being eroded. So I think it's even more important that today we continue to underline that the importance of international law. And I want to sneak in a little bit of issue, very detailed, Excellency, on the discussion of international law, on the discussions of rule-based, that some of our colleagues in Geneva, in the WTO process, while they are making the WTO fisheries subsidies, someone managed to sneak two phrases, historical practices. So WTO is not aware of geopolitics in our part of the world or any other part of the world, and somehow WTO is now discussing the possibility of a country to provide subsidy for their fishermen in area beyond their jurisdiction as long as they can prove historical practices. For Indonesia, historical practices go to 2nd century. I don't know about Germany, but this is a very dangerous trend. So, and I want to use this opportunity for you to look at your team, that while we are talking about the importance of international law, but actually in the making, sometimes we don't really understand the implications of what our negotiators are doing. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Pak Hafaz. A very interesting comment that you have there. Pak Sofwan, as the only academic, as the speaker today, we would like to hear, as obviously, your perspective in your view on the strategic partnership between Indonesia and Germany that has already mentioned by Pak Hafaz earlier, and also the Germany strategy on Indo-Pacific, especially when we're considering the regional geopolitical challenges. Would you please to share your opinion on that aspect?
Thank you very much, Professor Poppy, and thank you very much, Excellencies, for the insightful presentation as well as the discussion on the panel. It's a great honor for me to be here as somebody from outside the government looking at the dynamics in the global and regional politics. I think there are 3 points that I would like to make. First, as the Minister has already mentioned, we are now in an extraordinary times. The challenges are not the usual challenges. It is something that is amounting to the crisis in the different pillars and aspects of current global order. We have a challenge in the pillar of the multilateral system, where international institutions are not working effectively. Second, we have pressure in the multilateral trading system, where the liberal multilateral trading system is now under immense pressure with the recent tariff war and trade war, which does not seem to be receding, but even going to increase. And second, and the third is, of course, the pressure from the ecological system, where the Indo-Pacific is not only the epicenter of global growth, but also one of the epicenter of the climate change. And also, and I think And I do really hope that your current visit, will open the gate for that extraordinary cooperation initiatives. Second point that I would like to make is maybe it is important to go beyond looking the world in the Cold War or confrontational mentality, which is often visible in major powers like Germany or the United States or the European forces. We in the region, in Asia, like Indonesia, as you already mentioned, is on the philosophy of 1,000 friends are too few and 0 enemies, and 1 enemy is too many. So I think one visible thing that is often felt when we are talking with our partners from the West, for example, is the strong tendency of looking the world in this us and them perspective. For example, when we are talking about the challenges towards current rule-based order, there are actors mentioned, but there are also actors that are not mentioned, which is also actually a threat to the rules-based order. I mean, the threat towards the multilateral trading system, I mean, currently, if we are talking about this honestly, it is not coming from the frame in this black and white framing. It is coming from the country which is often identified as one of the prominent actor in the rules-based order, but suddenly challenging this multilateral trading system. So I think one point that might be also important to discuss with is how do we approach this regional and maybe the global politics beyond the great power rivalry, beyond the us and them mentality, but as Indonesia pushed through the ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific, the cooperation should be based on the idea not only free and inclusive, not only free and open, but also inclusive Indo-Pacific. It should go beyond these antagonisms and try to find ways to cooperate with anyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sofwan. I think I'd like to follow up on your comment earlier, Dr. Sofwan, and I would like to ask the Minister regarding, in order to make the cooperation and partnership much more meaningful between Germany and Indonesia, and especially we consider the economic, maritime security sectors, including both traditional and non-traditional issues, like the energy transition, climate change responses to the region. How do you see this? What kind of cooperation or deepen strengthening partnership that you would like to propose?
Yes, I would say in general, would associate myself what was said before. The time for MOUs is over. We have to become faster and more concrete. We have no time to lose. It's timely to act, and it's possible. Yeah? And if we consider this, and if we recognize the urgency of acting together, I think this is the right approach we have together to take. Of course, maritime security is important. We have sent frigates into the region, other ships. We will do so in the future as well. You will see maritime region to make clear that international sea routes can be taken by ships freely. We can provide capacity building for some coast guards. We can also train, we as Foreign Ministry, ASEAN diplomats in international law if that is needed, if you're seeking that. We are ready to engage in such cooperation also with Indonesia. We are working, as I mentioned, on the free trade agreement. Happy to be that we can accomplish that very soon, and that is really very much needed in these times where other countries are talking, have their restrictions, whether we can enter their markets, or others are not only talking, but also raising up tariffs, which is really not our policy. So, and I mentioned the JET-P with Indonesia and Vietnam. Germany is really engaged in that, and I would really say our engagement with 1.6 million euro alone for Indonesia shows that Germany has a clear commitment for this country and for the project as such. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister. I think we have a very short time now, so that's why I'd like to invite also the questions from the audience. If it's any questions from the audience, because we have a very prominent speakers here, so I'd like to invite one or two if it's possible. Any question from the audience? Oh, okay. Would you like to make your question brief? Sir, yes, and then also, okay. Introduce yourself first.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Ilham Habibi, and I spent half my life in Germany, the other half in Indonesia. So I have a very special relationship to both countries. My question is, I mean, looking at the topic, we have a changing world order. If we look what's happening to Indonesia, for instance, how do we align with the major powers in this world? And it's fair to say that we talk about security, it's maybe more towards America. If we talk about economy, it's maybe more towards China. And Germany might have a different positioning, but how do these positioning, I mean, how do this really align to one another? Because we are firmly in Asia and Germany is firmly in Europe, but is there a bridge that we can walk across in order to connect both countries to be more collaborating with one another in the current circumstances? That's my question, actually. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Pak Hafaz first to respond to that question, because some of the aspect is also Indonesia's position.
Thank you.
Yes.
By Ilham, I think I would say multi-alignment, Excellency, because from all different analysis that we've seen today, and also what the Minister mentioned, the world is lacking reliability and certainty. These are the two strategic rare commodity today. Yeah? Certainty is becoming very important and losing a commodity in many relations around the world. So I think my experience as ambassador to Germany, Germany is a very reliable partner. When United States withdrew from JET-P, so maybe colleague at the back, you don't know what JET-P is. It's an energy transition. It's just energy transition partnership. So we want to go away from fossil. We want to go to renewables, but that costs money, and money we don't have. But we can take a loan. Germany and many other countries put loan on us, including German, Japan, United States, ADB, and others. Okay, and then President Trump comes in. The President Trump decided to withdraw from JET-P. But the first thing that I did was I called Johann Wadephul in Berlin, and I asked him, "Will you guys take over the Americans?" And you said yes. So it's a reliable partner, as always. That's Germany. Huh? So I think this is the key, all right? Reliability. I've been dealing with many different issues with different colleagues in Germany, and I think there's the key message: reliability by Ilham. And I think this is the way we need to do business and relationships. Either it's based on value or, unfortunately, transactions with some country. Reliability is key issue. Now, the second issue is coming from the current situation today is diversifications. So diversification of partners, for instance. So when we are having problems with the other side, especially in tariff issue, we work hard to try to bring in the FTA, SEPA with EU comes into being. So now you have 19% to the US, you have 0% to EU, so our businesses can choose, right? So you can go 0% or you go 19%. Right? So PILHAM, the same thing. If you have some business you want to export, you choose the market. And then we also work with Global South. We work with different parts of the world. So it's not just a few big players because US is one big player, China is one big player. But if you put together like different countries in Africa and Latin America, then the number can go billions. So this is also how we de-risk ourselves at the global level in many different issues. As a matter of fact, I just came from a lunch with ambassador from Indo-Pacific, Latin America, and Africa to talk about possibility of Indonesia to invest and to trade with those countries that we don't normally do. We are going to have a big Indonesian presence in Inalak. So it's an Indonesia, Latin America messe. We are going to do it in Sao Paulo this coming September. We've done it in Peru, very successful. So I think this is the key, by Ilham and colleagues. So work with your reliable partners, Germany is, and work with other partners in different parts of the world.
Mr. Minister, do you want to respond to that?
I just can take that point and thank you for your words on Germany. If you weren't now the Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs here in your country, I would appoint you as our ambassador to Indonesia. Seldom so convincing persons for a country like you are. But really, that's a very situation we are in. Of course, Germany is a strong ally to the United States and will ever be. Everybody knows it, and that will not change. But of course, also, if you look to the economic situation, if you look to the tariffs discussions, and of course, also what hinders us to have a relation with the United States as we had for decades, we have to look for new markets, for new partners who are as reliable as we are, and that is our take from Indonesia, that you are one of these potential global partnerships we can achieve. So, and we are open for that, and if you are as well, a lot is possible for the future. So, and once again, we have to be concrete, and we have to fasten the speed, because that is very much needed. And I would really like to mention China as well. Germany is ready for a partnership with China, but we recognize and analyze that China is more and more seeking the systemic rivalry, especially with European countries, with Germany. It's not our way. It's not our choice. It's the Chinese choice, and we are facing it, and we see that development for a lot of years now. Though we have a lot of trade relations with China, we want to keep it in principle, but as we do see that we do not have the full access to the Chinese market as Chinese companies to ours, we have to take consequences, and we have to diversify. And of course, that should also take place here in the Indo-Pacific, and Indonesia is one of our core partners for the future. And that's the reason why we're here.
Thank you, Minister. Well, I wonder if we still have time or not. No. Only 1 minute. Oh, wow. Okay, so sorry that I cannot offer another round of questions. I know it's a very short, Minister, and also Pak Hafaz and Mas Sofwan. We believe that your visit will be so meaningful, fruitful, and for deeper kind of collaboration with Indonesia and Germany. And as Pak Hafaz mentioned earlier, that we can build this because we share the core values, principles, and more importantly is reliable partners. And I believe that Indonesia and Germany can establish this collaboration because both of us, both countries are reliable partners. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon, everyone. I'll get back to Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Poppy. Now, before we officially close, we would like to invite all of the panelists to please take center stage for a photo. And to the photographers, please stand by. All right. So we'll take a couple of photos. Okay. First one in 3, 2, 1. All right. We'll do another pose in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you very much to His Excellency Johann Wadephul, His Excellency Arif Hafaz, Pak Sofwan, Ibu Poppy, and of course, everyone here today for your active participation. With that, we have come to the end of the special conversation with His Excellency Dr. Johann Wadephul on Germany's foreign policy outlook on the Indo-Pacific, positioning Germany and Indonesia in a changing world order. We thank you and we hope to see you again at our future FPCI events. Dankeschön, auf Wiedersehen.